You ever wake up, walk out onto your own land? I mean, your land, the one you've poured sweat and years into, and see a fence that wasn't there yesterday, because I did. And let me tell you, nothing says good morning quite like a shiny new chain link fence running through your pasture wearing a sign that claims half your property for someone else, in my case, the Hickory Crest HOA. Yeah, that happened, and it wasn't some prank or neighborly misunderstanding. It was the opening shot in a war I never wanted, but sure as hell wasn't about to lose. It started on one of those mornings where the fog's still low over the pond. Boots wet with dew, coffee in hand, the air so quiet you could almost hear the grass thinking. 40 acres, all mine, every inch walked and worked, every line of it mapped and memorized. I knew that slope by heart, every stump, every bit of bramble, so you can imagine my mood when I rounded the bend, and there it was, cold steel biting 30 feet inside my legal boundary, stapled with a sign flapping away like some bureaucratic prayer flag. Hickory Crest HOA property. Access restricted to residents only. I just stared like maybe if I blinked hard enough it'd disappear. It didn't. If anything, the wind just made it taunt me a little harder. That fence didn't just block some forgotten corner. No, it cut off the whole southern lip of my pond, the one I dug myself with a rented excavator reinforced with limestone, spent weekends fixing up and keeping the cattails at bay. I circled the fence line, counting paces like a damn surveyor. Then I headed straight for my barn, dug out the Garmin, and ran a full GPS trace against my plat. Not even close. That fence was deep on my land, plain as day. I took photos, lots. Then I pulled out the old lockbox, checked the deed, the hydrology permit, every last line. That water was mine. End of story. Or so I thought. Next morning, strangers. Folding chairs by the pond coolers, out some guy fishing like he'd paid for the right. A couple women sunning themselves, one of them with that "don't bother me" look you see in HOA newsletters. I walked down slow, keeping my hands where they could see him. Morning. Y'all realize this is private property, right? Lady barely looked up. Karen says it's community access now. Karen, who, the HOA president. Apparently she'd declared the pond public, never mind it was my sweat and dollars that built it. You know that feeling when you realize you're not in the same reality as everyone else? I almost laughed, but all I managed was, "You need to leave." They grumbled, took their time, gave me those looks like I was the bad guy. That night I drove to the Hickory Crest entrance, big stone sign, fake rustic lights, little bulletin board. And there it was, a letter from Karen Lawrence, HOA president, saying, "After a community review, my pond was now a shared resource for the health and enjoyment of residents." Not a single citation, no map, just fluffy language about stewardship and unity. Next morning, here comes Karen herself, white SUV, mirrored sunglasses, clipboard in hand. "Mr. Bentley, we need to talk about your attitude towards shared resources." That's how she started. I swear if she'd smiled any harder, her face would have cracked. She quoted Georgia Code at me about public interest in navigable water. My pond is barely navigable for frogs, let alone boats. Still, she dropped off a stack of pamphlets about community rights. I burned them that night. But the quiet felt different after that. Like something essential had been stolen, not just land, but sense itself. I'd handled busted pumps, raccoons in the attic, even a bear in my shed, but this was a new beast, people who could lie with a straight face and make it sound like gospel. 3 days later, another volley, a man in khakis lanyard badge struts onto my land inspecting for the HOA Environmental Committee. Never even introduced himself, just started writing. We had reports of improper water management, unauthorized equipment, all sorts of nonsense. I said he was trespassing. He left, but not before snapping photos and dropping a business card on my post. That afternoon, an official-looking envelope on my gate notice of non-compliance, $300 in fines for refusal to cooperate, obstructing stewardship, and unauthorized water control infrastructure. I laughed so hard I about pulled something, but it hit me this wasn't just one power-drunk neighbor. It was organized. So I went to the county, pulled every plat, every permit, every legal scrap I could get. Came home with a folder thicker than a Bible. Next day, I installed trail cams tucked in trees, disguised in bird boxes, even hid one under my boathouse eave. Anything bigger than a squirrel was getting caught in 4K. Didn't take long. 2 days and one of the cameras caught a guy in cargo shorts hopping the fence, walking the bank, even trying to jimmy the lock on my pump. Later, a woman with a camera snapping shots from behind the fence. That night, a voicemail, Karen threatening escalation and county involvement if I didn't respect shared access. I labeled it Threat 1. When another sign showed up, all trespassers will be prosecuted by the Hickory Crest Environmental Committee, bolted half an inch into my oak. I knew it was time to fight fire with fire. I called Doyle Reeves, an old engineering buddy and cadastral surveyor. "Bring your tripod," I told him. "I'll bring the coffee." Meanwhile, I put up my own sign. Private property. No trespassing. Violators will be photographed, reported, and persecuted in that order. Yeah, I meant to write persecuted. Let them stew on that. It escalated fast. Deputies showed up, called in by Karen, of course, said there'd been a report of a trespasser sabotaging property. Me. In my own boat on my own pond. They checked my tools, asked for my license, then Karen shows up waving a file folder, accusing me of all sorts of things. I kept my cool, pointed them to a survey pin. Read the tag. It said my name, my parcel number. The deputies let me go, but I knew I was dealing with folks who'd rather call the law than admit they're wrong. HOA Facebook group exploded after that wild rumors, half calling me dangerous, half calling me a grump. I stayed off, kept working. Doyle came out, surveyed, every inch ran drone overlays. Found the HOA's fence was over 30 feet inside my line, cutting off my pump easement. Not just trespassing, blocking infrastructure. That was the break I needed. Doyle wrote up the affidavit, GPS data, time-stamped photos, the whole 9 yards. I sent it to my lawyer, Rachel Burns. She fired off a cease and desist, started prepping the lawsuit. Just in time, too, my cameras caught another HOA badge-clad guy trying to break into my pump shed with a drill. Sheriff came out, called it criminal trespass, and attempted vandalism. I handed over every file, every video. Rachel filed suit. Illegal encroachment, defamation, trespass, attempted seizure. HOA's lawyer came back with nonsense, claimed historic community use, tried to show hand-drawn parcel maps, even cited a verbal agreement with a phantom previous owner. Then someone tried to file a fake environmental adjustment with the county, forging my signature. That was the last straw. Rachel got the DA involved, tacked on forgery and abuse of process. Then things got personal. Mailbox smashed, HOA bulletins shoved into the mud with lines circled in pink. Unstable individuals may attempt to restrict access. Unstable, huh? Next, a manila envelope. Grainy photos of me walking the pond, sitting on the porch, even opening my mailbox. Stalking, plain and simple. Rachel added harassment to the lawsuit. I upgraded my cameras again, floodlights, license plate, capture, turned the place into a fortress. Court day came. Karen strutted in like she owned the building. Her lawyer spun tales about shared use and community stewardship. Rachel calmly walked the judge through the plat map, survey, data, drone footage, even the evidence of forged paperwork. Karen tried a little courtroom drama, talking about community safety, intimidation, paranoia, and unverified rumors about me running illegal equipment off the pond. Judge wasn't having it. Ordered the immediate removal of the fence, all HOA activity on my land stopped, threatened $10,000 fines for any violation. But you know these folks, right? 2 days later, my phone's blowing up. Local blog runs a piece, private pond, public lies. Turns out Karen had tried this stunt before in Cobb County with a private orchard. That HOA nearly went bankrupt fighting her. Now the story's out, people talking, journalists snooping around. And just like that, the real retaliation starts. Yard waste dumped across my drive mailbox. Torched sheriff calls it suspected arson. More cameras go up. Rachel adds it to our complaint. The county tried to audit me, claiming my irrigation system threatened wetlands. Inspector came out, took one look, set off the record. This is political. Brace yourself. By now, I was running on stubbornness and caffeine. More trespassing, more garbage dumped, even teens filming themselves tossing trash in the pond. Rachel compiled it all, brought a digital sledgehammer to court. Final trial courtroom packed. Rachel lays it all out: trespass, defamation, forgery, harassment, the lot. Karen's lawyer tries to claim environmental stewardship, but the judge is done listening. Under oath, Karen denies ever trying similar stunts. Rachel drops evidence from her last HOA war: same tricks, same chaos. Karen pales. When I took the stand, I told them this wasn't just about land or water, but about people who think rules don't apply to them. The judge didn't waste time, found for me $225,000 in damages, immediate removal of all HOA claims, and referral of forged docs to the DA. Word got out. Karen vanished from the HOA, their board dissolved, one member even apologized in person with a peach cobbler, no kidding. County thanked me for cooperation. I laughed, first time the government's ever thanked me for anything. Karen got arrested on forgery and fraud. The rest of Hickory Crest finally let go of their fantasy. Now some nights I sit by that pond. My pond in every sense, boots in the damp earth, watching the water, thinking about how easy it is for someone to decide what's yours ought to be theirs, and how much work it takes to prove otherwise. But the line held. The fight was worth it. If you're listening and you ever find yourself up against the kind of folks who play king with your property, fight back and fight smart. What do you think? Was I right to dig in, or should I have just let it go for the sake of peace? Drop your own story below. Tell me what you'd do if someone tried to fence off your life's work. And hey, if you want more tales of justice, grit, and the little guy winning for once, stick around, hit subscribe, and let's see who's really right and wrong out there.